This podcast is brought to you by our friends at Minimal Case. Minimal is so excited about the Pixel 4, they're giving you 25% off your order for the brand new Pixel 4 case that you're going to pick up. The Pixel 4 is beautiful, and you want a case that is so thin and light, it'll keep that phone as beautiful as the day you bought it. And to make that even sweeter, here's 25% off your order. Just use promo code DIGITPIXEL4 at checkout, because this is a Digit Daily, and you're celebrating the Pixel 4. But you can use this code for any case for any phone. Once again, go to mnmlcase.com and use promo code DGITPixel and the number 4 to get 25% off your order, and we thank them for sponsoring this podcast. Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Doud here. We're halfway through the week, and I just found out that Amazon's 2-hour shipping service, Prime Now, is available in my area. Yeah, honey, you didn't really like our bank account, did you? It is October 30th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. Samsung's developer conference is going on as we speak. You might remember the 2018 developer conference because that was the debut of the Samsung Galaxy Fold, and it just now occurs to me that I can start referring to things that happened a year ago because we've been on the air for a year, and that's awesome! Sorry, digression. Yesterday, Samsung showed us a glimpse of a new vertical folding phone coming sometime. Unlike last year, they didn't have hardware on hand, just a render, so, kind of boring. But since this render comes from Samsung to its developers, there's a fair amount of confidence in its accuracy and imminence, meaning this is probably going to happen. But it will happen well after Motorola launches its foldable, or whatever it turns out to be, in just a couple of weeks. From the render, I can tell you that it folds flat, or at least flatter than the Galaxy Fold, but, low bar. I can also tell you that it is not nearly close to done. And I can tell you that because we saw a render, not hardware. In 2018, they showed off the Fold on stage, in the flesh, as it were, and that thing still didn't come out for another 5 months, and then it broke and went away for 6 more months. So when I say this vertical flip phone isn't close, I mean really not close. Though, hopefully Samsung learned a lot from the Fold. Now, as for the actual hardware at the conference, we did get a peek at 2 new Windows laptops coming very soon. You might remember from Satya Nadella's appearance at Unpacked that Microsoft and Samsung are besties all of a sudden, which is great. These 2 laptops are called the Galaxy Book Flex and the Galaxy Book Ion. The Flex is a 2-in-1 with a 360-degree hinge. The Ion is a straight-up laptop, as if that's a thing anymore. Wait, seriously? It doesn't flip all the way? They still do that? Huh. The specifications on these laptops both look great, powered by 10th generation Intel processors, up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, and up to a terabyte of onboard storage. The 2-in-1 will have an S Pen included, which is awesome. The press release doesn't say whether both these laptops will have touchscreens. I assume the Flex will, since it goes into tablet mode, but there's no mention for the Ion. Also, both come in 13.3 and 15.6 inch configurations, and the aforementioned displays only go up to FHD+, which, it's 2019, so that's a choice for sure. We don't have pricing yet for any of these machines, though we're told they'll come out in December in, quote, select markets. Where those select markets will be other than Korea is anybody's guess. Still, it's good to see Samsung working on more folding form factors and new Windows hardware. Oh, and one more thing, we saw the debut of the Samsung Galaxy Home Mini Samsung smart speaker. You still can't buy the original Galaxy Home, and it's been over a year. It's time to poop or get off the pot, Samsung. So with that, it's time for the Roundup! Reviews dropped yesterday for Amazon's Echo Buds, and while overall positive, there were some question marks. CNET says that the Buds sound just as good as AirPods, which is a really low bar. That's like saying your ice cream tastes just as good as freezer-burnt meat. Engadget reported the sound quality as being mediocre, but they also mentioned that they had trouble getting a good seal on the earbuds, and I can relate. It's surprising how much sound quality drops without a good seal, which is part of the reason why AirPods suck balls, and why the AirPods Pro have rubber tips. Google brought about the .new or .new domains to help you start up new Google Docs by just typing doc.new in your browser's URL bar. And I did not know that until just now. The idea is that you can just start writing the document as opposed to signing in, navigating to Docs, and then hitting the New button. It's a time saver. So Google is opening up the .new service to the web at large, and companies are jumping on board. Word.new creates a new Word document, or at least it will eventually. Podcast.new takes you to Anchor, which is owned by Spotify, and that's where we run into a bit of a problem. See, this .new extension is supposed to be a time saver and make things easier and quicker, but most .new extensions take you to a login page where you still have to log in because we're not all logged into Anchor.fm all the time. Well, you probably aren't, but anyway. So companies can grab up these .new domains, but until there's some smart implementation to them, like doc.new, for example, which is honestly kind of cheating because most of us are logged into our Google accounts always, but until that happens, .new is going to have limited appeal, but it's still .new, so it's fairly .interesting. This next story comes with some baggage, so bear with me. Deadspin is a sister site to Gizmodo that is mostly dedicated to sports. A memo from GO Media, who is the parent company to those sites, asked the sites to stick to sports. I'm honestly not much of a Deadspin reader, so I'm not sure where the context is coming from, but suffice it to say that Deadspin writers were told to stay in their lane. Acting editor-in-chief Barry Paczewski then tweeted that he'd been fired for, quote, not sticking to sports, which prompted Deadspin to publish a series of stories on the site that had nothing to do with sports, including dress code tips for weddings, a pumpkin thief in Washington, an article titled 3 Good Dogs I Met, and finally a delicious headline, Nationals fans didn't stick to sports, which is about President Trump getting booed at Game 5 of the World Series. By the way, that's delicious because of the headline itself, not because President Trump got booed. That's just more of a bonus. Well, anyway, maybe this podcast should stick to tech, so we are going to move on. Remember yesterday when we talked about Elon Musk and his defamation lawsuit? Well, he's been telling the plaintiff Unsworth's lawyers that he's financially illiquid, with most of his riches tied up in Tesla and SpaceX stock. Well, that didn't stop him from donating $1 million to Team Tree, a charity drive by YouTuber Mr. Beast, who is using the YouTube world, including iJustine, Mark Rober, MKBHD, How Ridiculous, and others to raise $20 million to plant 20 million trees around the world. Elon Musk is now the top donator, but it makes one wonder. If he doesn't have cash to pay Unsworth, how does he have cash to donate 1 million trees? Well, Mr. Musk, I believe you have some splaining to do. Maybe Unsworth will take a payout of Pine? And finally, it's worth mentioning that I haven't owned a functioning computer with a DVD drive in 6 years. Everything I've put on my computer has been downloaded or rarely done by USB drive. So it might surprise you to learn that the United States nuclear arsenal, which contains enough bombs to blow up the entire planet a few times over, only recently transitioned away from 8-inch floppy disks. That's right, not even the 3.5-inch floppy disk that could survive a dropkick into the snow. 8-inch floppy disks. And my favorite part of this article comes in the form of a quote from David Flaggard, spokesman for the Air Force Global Strike Command, who said, quote, Air Force Global Strike Command is committed to modernizing for the future. Well, now they're committed to modernizing for the future, but I swear, if you tell me our aircraft carriers run on software loaded by Zip Disk, I'm moving to Canada. So that's going to do it for today's Digit Daily. And if you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Doud, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.